just started it. Let me pull up the developer update. Go back to the top since I've been scanning through it all day. But, bless you.
Me.
Cool. Well, so, bienvenidos to anyone who is tuning into my stream. We are here to discuss the... Well, we're going to start off the stream. We will play the game eventually, I promise. But we're going to start off by discussing the developer update. The mid-chapter update for this last chapter. Should be coming out here at the end of this, but near the middle or end of this month. But yeah, we're going to be here where... I'm not saying it, Tej. No matter how many times you put it in the chat, I am not saying it.
That's not what I need.
But I am here. No, you're good. I'm here with Lydia at StayatHomeDM on her Twitch channel. I'm here with her as we to kind of get two interesting, unique viewpoints. And for example, the thought process is, well, I've been playing the game for almost 2 years now. And Lydia barely picked up the game a few months ago. So we have kind of a newer player and a veteran player to to discuss these interesting changes. Because they really are. This is probably the biggest mid-chapter update that they are doing in a long time. I do have to say my boom arm literally broke like half an hour before I was planning on, half hour ago. So let me know how it might sound, because my mic is not where it normally is positioned. I've done my best to jury rig it to be there, but
Sounds good to me.
yeah, as I can say, I was on Discord with Tyson earlier, and he said it sounds fine, but I just want to double check. But so just everyone, let me know what they're thinking, and I need to close out Facebook because I had Facebook open on, and I don't want anyone to hear my Facebook notifications. So yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna say this did seem, because I haven't been part of a mid-chapter update before, really. I guess, yeah, I don't think so, not really.
Yeah.
And this seems kind of like a hefty update.
It is a huge update. They are changing a lot, and not necessarily for the better, in my opinion. I'll just state that right out front. I'm not sure how I feel about some of the changes that they're making. So I'll post in the pond. I'm going to post the link to, right now you can watch me doing it. I'm posting the link to the mid-chapter update. So if you want to go to the website and read along with us, you can go there. It's in the duck pond now. But yeah, so I just figured we would start at the top and go down. So the first major change that they're bringing is a update to the clown, which is sorely needed. The clown, if you ask anyone in Dead by Daylight, is considered to be the weakest killer in the game. He's sad. He's a sad affair currently. And to be fair, anyone who's good at any killer is actually will do pretty well, but the clown's just weak. His power is not the greatest. His mobility's not good. He just ends up basically just sticking with hoping that he can M1 you and hit you with his gas to slow you down. I'm not exactly sure how this change is going to change all of that, to be honest. The clown is now going to have a new addition to his power called the After Peace Antidote. Hi, thanks, Adam. What this means is that basically the gist of it is that he can switch between his two powers, because he'll have the After Peace Tonic, which is his base power, where if you're not aware of what it does, he throws it, the bottle shatters, and leaves a pink cloud of gas that if survivors aren't into it, they slow down. The After Peace Antidote is supposed to basically do the opposite. It'll give them a 10% movement speed bonus, which is pretty huge. one for survivors, and for killer. And so it's anyone who steps into it. So that means it'll apply to the clown and the clown and the survivors.
Whereas the original tonic does not affect the clown, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that is correct. And an important reminder they tell us is that if the two gases collide, they will neutralize each other and disappear. My imagining is what they're attempting to do is, how to put it, they're attempting to make it so that way clown gameplay is basically going to become switching back and forth between the two tonics, attempting to throw the tonic at the tonic at survivors to slow them down, and then throwing the antidote at your feet, or somewhere where you need a speed boost to catch up to the survivor without hitting the survivor with your antidote and without colliding. So I think he's definitely going to become more complex. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it'll be nice because the afterpiece antidote will make him faster. So it will give him some much needed mobility. But I'm not sure it'll actually fix his strengths at all.
I feel like in the first few days after they do this, it'll probably make the clown worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because people will not be used to, planning and throwing stuff where they need to get it for them and not for the survivors. Maybe after a while, when clown mains kind of figure it out, it will up him beyond where he is right now. But I don't know if it'll bring him into like actual competitive range,
No.
Higher tier.
I don't think it will at all either. It's just because I think if you go up against a clown who really, really, truly knows what he's doing with these models, it will be. I'm sure it'll be. We will. Survivors will die a lot. I'm sure. But that's what it is against someone who's playing clown anyway. If someone really knows what they're doing with clown, you're gonna get your butt handed to you. I mean, that's just how it is with any killer. But again, unless you're unless you're a better or even slightly above average survivor. But no, I don't think this will bring him out of the worst slot. I think he'll still be the worst killer in the game, but he'll be better than he was before.
Yeah, unless they have some really good add-on changes or something. I think something that could be something that could make the antidote work a little bit better is if it does speed up the survivors, but it speeds up the clown more. Like maybe he gets a 15% increase instead of only 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because with it being an equal thing, it's just going to be now chases are longer.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to get it, probably.
And I think some add-on types that could help with that is let's say if the antidote has, it still provides the speed boost, but maybe provides a negative for the survivor, like something like a negative status effect, like the survivor runs in, gets the 10% speed boost, but also gets like, I'm trying to think of what would be a decent one. Gets exhaustion, maybe? Something like that, exactly. So that way, it kind of becomes do I want to run in there and get the speed boost? Is that worth it to me right now, or do I want to save it so that way I can use my exhaustion perks? It could also be other things like, I wouldn't say broken or exposed would be good things for the antidote, but things like mangled, things like maybe when the speed wears off, you become hindered, things like that. That could be interesting, but something tells me that's not what behavior is going to do, because the purpose of the antidote is to undo the effects. It says here the purpose of the antidote is going to undo the effects of the tonic. So while I think it'd be interesting, and I think that would be the way to go, I don't think that's what they're going to do with these add-ons.
Yeah. It seems like such a silly thing to be like, here's your power, and then here's an unpower.
Mm-hmm.
Just like make you be a normal person. I mean, they did reduce the reload time significantly, but
that'll actually help, because that was a lot of clown players' biggest complaints, is that just the fact that it took 5 seconds. Like, you wouldn't think that 5 seconds would be horrendous. But the fact that the clown, when he is slowed, when he's reloading, he also slowed down.
Right.
So 3 seconds of slowdown versus 5 seconds. Like at least everyone you watch now tells you, don't reload in a chase. Just wait till you're done in a chase. Maybe with 3 seconds, it'd be fine to reload in a chase instead of waiting until you're out of a chase.
And there are some add-ons that would reduce the slowdown and reduce the reload anyway. So I wonder if those will just make it like maybe higher level add-ons to make it almost non-existent.
Exactly. I really wish they would have given us a preview of some of these add-ons so we could look in. Because, like, are there going to be add-ons that only affect one of the parts of the power? Like an add-on that only affects the antidote, or a add-on that only affects the tonic? Or are they going to affect both sides of the power with each add-on?
Yeah.
So that seems like it could be...
it's just like, oh, they exist. That's it.
Exactly.
Nothing beyond that.
I kind of wish that we would see some... I wish we could see some of the add-ons. Because that would help a lot. But other than that, I don't really have much more to say about this. This isn't the biggest change, personally, I feel. It's the first big change. The next topic is the one that's the huge change, and the one that is actually, if you go look on any of the forums, the subreddits, very controversial. Do you have anything else that you want to say about this clown
we
update?
can move on to the HUD update.
Yeah, so the HUD update, which is, HUD stands for Heads Up Display. I don't like it. So let's look at these pictures real quick first for the people who haven't seen them yet. So if we look at, I'll just zoom in on this picture. We look at it. So most of you should know what the old HUD looks like. It's bottom right corner, tells you what it is. Tells you what it is. And so you have the old HUD. You'd have everything that is now spread out would be down there. And we look at this, and now it's honestly, I really hate this.
Just because it's all spread out now, or what?
That's part of it. Part of the reason I hate it is because it's all spread out. I liked being able to just glance down at the corner, get all the information in one shot. And like, it's not that big of a deal, obviously, to have to look around. And also, that hook counter. If you look on the right-hand side, that's what that's supposed to be. The hook counter. It's not. I don't like that hook counter. Like, that's not useful. Like, when I first read through it, what I thought it was going to be was a hook counter. Like, each person had next to their names, like, a tally mark of how many hooks they had left in them, or how many hook. But like, that if we look at that hook counter, it took me literally to right now to figure out that's what it is. Like, it's literally just, it has 12 segments to it, and like, it's not useful. I don't need to know how many hooks I have. I need to know how many hooks are left on each person. I don't need to know how many hooks are left total. I need to know how many hooks are left in each person.
I wonder if they did this as to maybe discourage tunneling a little bit, instead of like, oh yeah, you've got, your Dwight is the only one who's close, and they go like, all right, I'm gonna go look for the Dwight. It's just like they've got these many hooks, but like, you would know how many times, like, oh, I know that's the Dwight, I've hooked them.
You would think, but sometimes when you're in the heat of a match and you're like, gotta go, and well, let's look at this situation right here. We don't know anything about how those Kate Densons look. There's 2 Kate Densons. Each, they have a unique name, but as far as we know, they could look exactly the same. And I could hit a Kate Denson and get confused and have thought that I hooked this Kate Denson twice when I've only hooked her once. And so I would say having the hook, and there are times in clutch moments where it's like, I need to get a survivor out of the game as quickly as possible. I know this person's been hooked twice, so I need to finish them off. Obviously, I don't encourage tunneling, but I do encourage smart gameplay. Yeah, like if it was, and I guess, yeah, it could be to discourage tunneling, but I don't see the use of having a hook counter right there. Like, what's
Hmm.
its purpose going? Like, what is, why does it exist? Like, I don't need to know how many times I've hooked, how many total hooks I have. I need to know how many times I've hooked a specific survivor. I don't need to know how many hooks
And
total
that
I
is
have.
something it says on the survivor side, right? I believe that's something that they mentioned was that you'd be able to see what hook count your friends are on if you're a survivor, right?
That's what it says, but then if I scroll down to the
It doesn't, yeah, it doesn't
it
have it
doesn't
on the
have it
picture,
on the
but it,
picture,
yeah, but it
and
says next to
so
each survivor's portrait, you'll find a hook counter. Help
and
you remember who's been hooked and who hasn't, and who can't be hooked again.
maybe, I've skimmed through the video. Maybe watching the video we'd see something different, but like, and maybe these are old pictures of the way that they originally thought, but they haven't, so who knows. But like, yeah, it does say that next to each survivor, yeah. But I I do vaguely approve of the character portraits, but I don't like the fact that they're the 3D portraits that don't match the rest of your HUD. Like the 2D drawn style, and then you have nice portrait of Dwight. It looks out of place to me, and I don't like the way that looks. Um,
Mm.
but
Yeah,
what's
that doesn't strike me as a thing really
mhm.
to
and that
me.
and that yeah, and that could be from you being you're you're a newer survivor. And for me, I will be honest, as a veteran, there is an attachment to the old HUD, and I've grown accustomed to it. I really like it. So I mean, my question for you, Lydia, is how do you feel about this as a newer player? Do you think this will be easier for you? Do you think this will be more complicated? What do you think?
So for me, I I kind of view it as like the way people would get freaked out when the Facebook setup would change and people would be like, "Oh my gosh, it's the worst." And then a few weeks later, nobody cares anymore because it's not really that big of a deal. It's not going to change things hugely. You're not going to lose a game with, the generator thing being in the top center instead of the bottom left.
It's true.
That's it might be a little bit annoying for a while, but it's very quick to adjust, and I kind of imagine that's how this is going to be. In terms of the 3D portraits and stuff, I think the only thing that I can really think of that bothers me about it is if it's just going to be the basic picture, it might not be helpful with like all the different cosmetics and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like if you're playing against someone who's got one of those bright purple wigs or something, and it's like that's not the character that you're seeing, and you can't necessarily tell. So if it doesn't mirror that, then
Yeah.
I don't exactly see the major point of having it anyway. Um,
Exactly.
but it's not something that I'm like, oh, it's the worst. It's this is more an aesthetic thing than a useful thing, and I think people will get used to it very quickly.
That's true. That's true. And yeah, that's something I was thinking is like maybe if those portraits changed based upon the cosmetics that were getting used, because this is obviously test play. So in test play, you're not going to use different cosmetics unless you're trying to see how the cosmetic interacts with the rest of the world or something. I don't think
Right.
you're seeing yet. So I don't think they're using other cosmetics. There have on the Reddit page. Really want to. There's been a few suggestions about about how they could do this similar thing without making too many changes. I'm gonna post in the pond really quick one of the suggestions if you want to go look at it. And then I actually have something that I did. For those of you on my stream, you can see what I did is so I took that picture that you find in the Reddit. Here, let me do this first. Sorry. So I'll go. Let me scroll over to the Reddit so you can see this suggestion. Very similar concept. You have but nothing is moved. You have the survivor portraits. You have next to them tally marks of how many hooks they'd be on. You can see what their current status is. And I don't, don't feel like personally that it'd be too hard to identify each survivor based on those 2D portraits. But then I went in and I took that image and I scaled it to the current UI and put it over top the current UI. I just took a screenshot and then put it over where the current UI would be to go in and look at it. I can share that picture with you, Lydia, so that way you have...
I mean, I have your stream up, so I can also see it, but I guess maybe I should show it to my stream.
That's fair. Yeah, exactly. So, sorry, let me get that sent to you real quick. If I can remember where I put it.
Okay. And also just drag it over into the screen so that they can see your stream. So if it takes too long to find it, don't worry about it.
I found it. It was pretty quick. But yeah, so if you look in, so that's scaled to be the size of the UI currently. And this doesn't have killer icons and stuff on that, but the killer stuff would just go right where it normally goes, right above all the survivor portraits. The only the complaints that I would personally have about this is that those tally marks would be a little small, as well as the status icons. Those would also be really small too. But I feel like if you just took those and moved them up to the right hand, to the top left corner where they're going to have them anyway, I feel like it'd be the same size anyway. And and personally, I feel like it goes more with the aesthetic that the HUD currently has. Personally, that's what. So this is just a suggestion. Obviously, this person doesn't actually work for behavior, so they can't. But there has been a lot of backlash about people not liking this HUD, and but but you're right. It's probably gonna end up like Facebook, where whenever the Facebook thing changes, everyone's like, "Oh my goodness!" But then it's we get used to it and we'll adjust.
I imagine that if people really, really don't like the fact that everything is spread apart, that they'll just like, okay, we can put it back together. That's totally fine.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully. Sorry, that's what I would really like, because I don't like having to, and obviously it's not too big of a deal to just flick my eyes around the screen, but it was just so nice to look down at one section and just have everything I needed right there. But that's my personal opinion. And they have mentioned, if in that video they mentioned that there are some things that they for future killers that they'd like to do that requires more HUD space. So that's interesting to see what is in store with future killers.
Yeah, that's almost ominous.
Exactly, almost ominous. But so we'll see. But I'm not a big fan of this change. A lot of longtime players aren't a big fan of this change, but it seems as if newer players don't really mind that much.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just show up and that's how the game is, you're like, all right, cool.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, exactly. That's true. But cool. Anything else that you want to say about the HUD update?
I think that's my piece. I didn't have huge objections to it.
I did. Lots of people have, but it's good.
I do. Oh, we didn't say anything about the scaling.
Oh yeah, that's actually going to be really good.
Scale it up and down.
Yeah, scaling up and down. You can scale it up and which will be great for a lot of people. There are some people who think it's too small. There are some people who think it's too big. I actually think it's at a perfect size personally, so I probably won't change it that much. But there will be people who will definitely shrink it, people who make it bigger, I can imagine those super tryhards. I need to see every inch of my screen, will make it as small as they possibly can. And for new players, maybe making it bigger for a little bit while you're figuring it out wouldn't be a bad plan. And then you shrink it back down when you feel you're comfortable. But I think that is a good thing. So, but yeah, cool. All right, so the next thing we have is the Survivor Locomotion Animation Update, which just means Survivor's going to move differently. I'll just click this button here really quick so you can see some of the animated changes.
I'm just looking at these. They don't seem
Yeah, they don't.
hugely different to me.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think if I had to choose between what they are now and what they will be, I prefer what they will be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're
Exactly.
going for more realistic graphics on all the maps and everything. Why not have everything else be the same? I especially appreciate going from prone to crouch, the fact that it's actually like getting up instead of like, oh, I
Yeah.
just appear up. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
do like that a lot.
That I do like. Here, let me YouTube something really quick so you
Oh,
can
and
see.
the crawling on the ground animation is much better now
Yeah,
too.
that is significantly better.
Yeah.
Oh, and the survivors getting knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
We're like right at the same spot in the video, watching at the same time.
But
Yeah, I feel like, you know, if anyone has objections to this, it's a purely like aesthetic thing. Is the
yeah.
game used to be a little bit more janky and campy, and people might like that more.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm trying to see if I can YouTube and find it on YouTube really quick. The OG animations, because the original animations for this game are so janky, and I can't find any of them. Like I can go find. I know that there are YouTube videos of people playing the game when it first came out, but I don't want to like show on stream someone else's YouTube video. But like, so just go find. I know specifically Soviet Womble has a video of him and his friends playing with the original animations. Go watch those and then compare them to these. They have, you know, these ones that we just watched. They've come so far with the animations. Like the original ones are just like, here, I'm a monkey running through the woods, and it's like, so it's like, yeah, if you have the opportunity, go watch those. And but so that'll be good. That'll be fun. Cool. Next major thing, unless you have anything else you want to say about the animations.
animations are cool. I like them.
Animation's
That's
cool.
all.
Good. Next major thing, what I have been hoping for is that matchmaking ratings are returning in the near future. Now, they do say near future, which makes me think that it might be the mid-chapter update, but it might not be. I wouldn't
I
be...
think they might test it.
Yeah. I think they might...
see if it works, but...
Because if you remember a few months ago when they tried this, it was a disaster. It didn't work at all. It was really bad, which was really sad to me because there's a lot of good things they want to do. So for those of you who aren't aware, what they're trying to do is they want to do a matchmaking rating system, where on the back end they look at they look at your performance, and ideally will put you up with people around your same skill level. And so, and then on survivor side, it's just going to be all survivor side. And then on killer side, which is what gets me really excited, it'll be per killer. I think that's what was really screwing up last time.
Really good.
Yeah, I think that's what was screwing up last time, was calculating the matchmaking rating for every single killer, for every single person. Probably was a huge, tremendous task. But I think that'll be a great change because, like, you guys have been watching me these past, few weeks. I've been trying to learn how to play the killers that I don't normally play, but it's really hard because I go up against people who are my normal skill rank, since I'm a red rank killer, despite my efforts to try not to be. And I get my butt handed to me, and so I don't actually learn how to play because I'm too busy, I'm getting run around to actually learn how to use my power, learn how to do other things. So I think that'll be good. I think if they can get this to work, it'll be a great change.
Yeah. I wonder how quickly it will adjust because, if you're a really good killer player, even if you pick up a killer that's completely new to you, you're still going to be really good. All these really high level killer players picking up twins for the first time a month and a half ago, they didn't struggle and fail like a rank 20 player would struggle and fail.
No, we didn't.
So I wonder how quickly it will adjust. If you're going to have just like one or two games, at an easier level before it like adjusts up to you or something.
I know that. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Because also imagine if whenever the next, let's say that the that this gets implemented with the mid-chapter update. The next chapter comes out, you're going to have a brand new killer who no one has any matchmaking information on. Is it going to stick me against a bunch of rank 20s for a few matches, or is it going to stick me up against someone probably mid-range? Like that's interesting. I'd like to know what that information would be. I imagine that it would hopefully progress you up pretty quickly through the matchmaking, so you're up against people and you're not just smashing your rank 20s for a whole month. So I would hope that it would, but then that also will depend on how often you end up playing.
Yeah, I would hope it'd be like average for the season or something, where you just, in that month before the reset, that it would just kind of average out, and then you can just continuously progress. That way, if you have your very first game, you might be playing against 20s, but if you absolutely destroy them, then your next game you'll probably hop up to like 10s or 11s.
That would be great. I feel like that would be a good balance. So that's my hope. So I'm
really looking forward to this blood points rewards.
Oh yeah. So that's the next big thing, is blood point rewards. So as is often said about the ranking system currently, and it is as is said about, and as they'll make it, basically what's supposed to be is the ranking system is supposed to be how much you play in a month, which isn't really super accurate because I'll be honest, my Dead by Daylight playtime has dipped in the past month or two, but I'm still a red rank survivor. And so, but that's because I get dropped down to purple rank and then just work my way up to red rank literally in like 3 hours and then keep going. And so I think this will be good because, one, it'll actually give people, particularly since they're going to, at the monthly reset, they're going to be sending everyone back down to rank 20. And so it'll give, experienced players like me something to actually work for in the game every month to be able to earn my 250,000 blood points a month. Looking at that number, that's not a very big number. Considering the fact that
250,000?
Yeah, considering the fact that I can earn, like, if I try really hard, I can earn like 1 million blood points in a day.
Yeah, if you're playing all day.
If I'm playing all day, I will easily earn 1 million blood points and then some.
Yeah, they might adjust as time goes on. I'm kind of curious about, like, because there's a lot of ranks that will, and numbers that will end up going on, because we already have, like, your player level where you get the iridescent shards, and you can level up pretty regularly, fairly easily.
Yep.
And then there's these, which is, so the first one is like, how much have you played in total? This rank is like, how active are you currently? And then you'll have your matchmaking rank, which I don't even know if we will know what that is, or if that'll be a hidden number that only the server knows.
Yeah, they've said it's going to be a hidden number. So, plus character levels. There's a lot of numbers to keep track of.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. And that could be kind of overwhelming for new players.
I mean, what's one more thing?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like, well, because I remember when I first hopped in the game, and I don't know if it was the same for you. When I first hopped in the game, I was like, why do I have a character level, a player level, and a character and a player rank? Like, why do I need it all? And now I understand now after having time, but like it could be confusing for people. But like, no, I'm excited for this, and it's interesting that each red rank has its own reward.
Yeah.
Now, this makes me... Now, it says it's going to be the highest rank achieved. So I think we will still probably see pipping and de-pipping, so going up and down in these monthly ranks. But if I achieve rank 1 once and then hop back down and then end the month at rank 3 for some reason, I'll still earn those 250,000 blood points, which will be nice. Oh, and the other thing that I forgot to mention, it's you'll earn the rewards for both Killer and Survivor separately. So I guess if you get to rank 1 on both Killer and Survivor, that's 500,000 blood points. So that's not bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do wish that they would up it a little bit, because the difference between being rank 20 and rank 10 is a significant amount.
That's true.
It's 10 times more blood points. And I mean, the difference of 90,000 blood points is not really that much. That's like 3 or 4 games if you're doing really well.
That's true.
So it's something that you can do in an hour.
Yeah.
So if they adjust it up, I think that would be a bigger incentive. This just kind of seems to be a like a quiet, oh yay, you did a thing.
Congratulations, you played our game.
Yeah, which I mean, if we're not going to know our matchmaking rank,
Yeah.
we will only be able to say to each other these ranks that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So that these will still be more prestigious than knowing than blood point making sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, I am a red rank survivor. I'm active and I do fairly well. Even though I don't know what my actual matchmaking rank is, I feel confident that I'm decent.
Yeah. And let's be honest. Even though this is technically supposed to be just a method of measuring how much someone plays in a month, if I'm getting to red rank, I'm obviously playing a lot. If I'm getting to red rank every month, I'm obviously playing a lot. So I don't think for me and you, I don't think getting to red rank will be that big of an issue. But also, playing a lot means you also learn more about the game, you're practicing more of the game, and you're getting better at the game. So I think we will still see a correlation of skill and rank color.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is something that they necessarily think is... Which I don't think that... I don't think that behavior thinks it's a bad thing, and I personally don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, especially if your matchmaking rank is separate from this.
Exactly.
You're not... Even if you end up being a rank 20 person in a game with a rank 1 person, you can be a little bit more confident that you're not going to get obliterated.
That's true, yeah. Because I guess you could just play a lot and then just suck. But...
I wonder if... Because the way it is currently, you don't see anyone's ranks until you're done, until you're dead or escaped.
And it didn't used to be like that.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have it go back to that now, where you'll be able to be like, oh, okay, this person's rank 2, I'm only rank like 15. They're really on it, but we'll see how this goes.
I think they should remove your ability to see the colored ranks altogether, even in the post-game lobby.
Mm-hmm. Just have them be the numbers?
And just have it be, well, not even be the numbers. I think just remove the ability to see anyone's monthly ranks. If they're gonna change it to this, then just, and they're gonna have the matchmaking. I feel like it would make people complain a lot less about matchmaking in general, because players are gonna have a hard time getting out of this mentality that red rank means you're good. And yellow means you're kind of bad. People are going to struggle getting out of this mentality. And I think, personally, I feel like disabling, seeing everyone's colored ranks after the match would help that. And so and this would just become a personal, this is where I'm at. This is, having that become a personal kind of goal thing. I feel like that would be better for the health of the community in general.
Mm-hmm. I feel like if they did that, then they would need to make the matchmaking rank public, because people want to know where they stand in relation to other people.
I know, and I hate that.
That does increase competition, and it increases like pride and stuff. Just like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing.
I know, and
then
I hate
if something does go weird with matchmaking, then people can see, like, oh my gosh, I got totally smashed this game. What happened?
That's true.
And they want to see the reason why, instead of just like, I guess I'll never know.
Yeah. So, hey, can I have one of my mods ban that person real quick? But yeah, so, yeah, no, and I understand that, and I don't think that the change I'm proposing is a change they'll ever make, but I personally feel like that change would be healthier for the community in the long run. But, that's me. But I also I'm not a super competitive person. Like, don't ask me why Dead by Daylight has become my favorite game, because I'm not a naturally competitive person. Like, I don't necessarily need to be the best, except for Dead by Daylight for some reason. Don't ask me why. Well, not even in Dead by Daylight. I just am happy being in red ranks. It means I'm good at the game. So, but yeah, so don't ask me why Dead by Daylight is one of my... I mean, I know I have a lot of reasons why Dead by Daylight is my favorite game, but... So I don't understand everyone's needs to necessarily be competitive, but I mean, I do understand, and so for that reason, I do think that they will definitely keep this. I just hope that the community can get out of the mentality that maybe a rank 8 who only plays enough to maintain a rank 8 is just as good as someone who plays at rank 1, or that a rank 3 is just playing a lot, but they're really only as good as someone who in the old system would be a rank 12. Something like that. I just hope people can move past this old mentality we have. So
We'll have to see.
we'll have to see.
Hopefully we'll see next week.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see, yeah. Well, cool.
This
Awesome.
graphics update now.
Graphics update. Honestly, I've been waiting for this one.
The Asylum looks gorgeous.
The Asylum, look at this. Like,
I mean, it doesn't look like an actual game render. It looks like art.
yeah. That's true.
Whereas the other one looks a little bit more
This
like
one
a
looks
render.
a little bit more like a game render, yeah.
But it's still looking
But
at
I
it
mean,
now. It's definitely art.
If this is game render, I know. But like, yeah, this. But like, I mean, and they'll come out with a preview in hopefully the next few days of what we can expect to be seeing.
Maybe
but
it'll make getting sent to the meatpacking plant less terrible.
Yeah, particularly if the meatpacking plant is this bright in game now, because that's a lot of people's complaints about the meatpacking plant is that it's kind of dark. So if it's really going to be this bright, which I feel like would be accurate, you don't want to. I mean, I guess an abandoned meatpacking plant would be different, but like this
it'd be pitch black. There'd be no lights on.
That's true. Okay, an abandoned meatpacking plant being used by someone who wants to use a reverse bear trap at everyone's heads. Oh,
thanks for the follow, wear tag.
Perfect. And so, yeah. So if this, honestly, these look beautiful. I love the Crotus Pren Asylum maps. They're some of my favorite maps. I wish we could get, I love them because I feel like, personally, they're some of the more balanced maps, at least for me. Like, I feel like that. And I just like their aesthetic. I wish we could see, because the carnival section is part of the Crotus Pren Asylum maps as well. So I wish they would give us a preview of this clown, circus thing as well, so we can see how those are changing. And Maurice, the three-eyed horse. I really want to see what Maurice, the three-eyed horse, is going to look like now.
Yeah. It'll just be a legitimate real horse that actually walks around now.
That would be terrifying if he was up and walking around the map. Like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's just Maurice.
I wonder if that would be something they'd ever consider, of having a moving element to the maps. Because, like, the meatpacking plant, they have those doors that will open. And that happens in other maps where if you finish a generator, a door will open or something will happen. But there's not any just moving elements that change the maps at all. I wonder if that's something that they would ever consider.
That'd be interesting. I don't know. Because I think they have come out and said that they don't want to do I mean, I know that they've said they don't want to do maps that are too tall. But they haven't said anything about that. That'd be interesting. Something that just roams around the map. Like, maybe not necessarily like a living object like a horse, but like, what if there was like a conveyor belt that was moving boxes around the map, and like the survivors could crouch behind the boxes, or like if some of the boxes are overturned, they can get inside the boxes and move along with the conveyor belt as well. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was thinking like a river or something, kind of in that same vein of like, there's like a boat that moves down the river you could hop on occasionally.
That would be really cool. I think that would be a great thing.
Can you imagine something like that being in the Blackwater Swamp?
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That would be great. But that would be interesting, because like, what if the river hits, like, obviously the river would just have to loop around the map. Like, what if, like, and so, because they couldn't go through the wall. But
unless I had some sort of landing zone where it would just kick you off.
Yeah, and that would be interesting. Not something I see them implementing anytime soon, since they're really focusing on the graphical updates and health of the game. But this kind of stuff, seeing the animation updates and this map updates, really gives me hope for a TLC update, a tender loving care update is what that means, of where they go back and just update some of the old survivors appearances. Like, not necessarily like a ton, but like, I mean, let's look at, let me hop into my game really quick and just on stream show everyone. Like, so this is David King, the OG hot guy survivor, and a lot of people's opinions. Like, let me just go, like, look at his face, like, look at him, like, and then switch over to the new king of the hot guy survivors, Felix. That man is an attractive man. I am a straight dude, and I admit that is an attractive man, that Felix. And like,
Felix.
and like,
Okay.
and go back and like, let's look at, like Meg Thomas. Like, look at Meg Thomas versus, Zarina or Elodie, versus Claudette. Like everyone thought that Elodie was Claudette in that original trailer. So like, part of me really hopes they just go back and just do some touch-ups. Like, I'm not asking them to like revamp the whole appearance, but like some touch-ups to make the OG survivors better. Like, I feel like I would say from Kate Denson backwards, except with maybe the exception of Bill. I think Bill looks pretty fine the way he is, but
See, I don't see huge differences between people. Like, looking at David versus Felix, I'm like, I mean, they both seem fine to me. I can imagine like wanting to do some updates on like the hair maybe, or I don't know, but I've never been a huge like graphic details focused person. I've never been like, we got a 4K TV a few months ago and Nick was all about it. He was like, I need to go find some 4K videos to watch, and I'm like, oh, they look fine.
Yeah.
But that's just me, I think.
That's fair. But I don't know. I hope. And for me, I don't know. I'm a big graphics person. If it's, I can find charm, and I can find charm in like some older graphics, like some, if it's a game that's intentionally using like 8-bit graphics to, for part of its charm, that I can understand. But like, this game isn't using 8-bit graphics, and I just feel like it would, as the game progresses, survivors are going, their ability to make survivors is going to be better. They're going to make more, better models, better, animations, and I just don't want the old OG characters to get left behind in the dust where no one's using them because they feel like they're so ugly. Because I still, I still like a lot of the OG characters. Like, Meg Thomas was my first character that I played, got to level 50. And so that's just what I hope. Is that
she's my current main that I put in stuff on.
There you go.
I think she's great.
I
Can we
agree.
move on to other stuff though?
Let's move on to other stuff.
There's still plenty more.
Yeah, and this all shouldn't take too very long. It's unless you have some very deep thoughts about some of these. This is just basically quality of life and balance changes. And so the first one they talk about is the Wraith, true invisibility. This makes me excited. Because if you actually heard me, and I've talked about it a few times in my past few streams, how I feel like the Wraith could use some changes to help put him on par with current newer killers. And I think that
I'm making him actually more, because there's definitely times where like the rest of the map hasn't even fully rendered or something, and you can see the Wraith walking around because there is that little shimmer, that rippling.
Exactly.
So to remove that is going to be, it's going to make him a lot more dangerous.
Yep.
You actually have to be really watchful.
Exactly. Because before I could just be like, oh, there's the Wraith. He's walking across the map. And having it be, having the shimmer be tied to range, it's definitely, I think, going to help a lot of people who are playing the Wraith sneak up on people. I think that'll be great. But so that'll be good. Trap escape mechanics. A lot of thing that people complain about with the Trapper is that escaping from the trap is so RNG based. Looking at here, you look at the, you had a 25% chance to escape a trap each attempt. Sounds pretty simple on paper, but you have to remember that statistics works and multiplying percentages together works funny. So it's not 4 attempts is 100% chance to escape. No, 4 attempts is only a 68% chance to escape. And so a lot of people were complaining, is like, oh, a survivor could get out instantaneously, or they could be in there for 10,000 years and never get out. And so I think this will be good, changing, it'll be still RNG, but less RNG.
Yeah.
So if I'm sitting there and just yanking my leg for two minutes, I will definitely probably be out. Whereas I'm not going to be out 2 to 3 seconds after I got trapped. I think that'll be
But
nice.
I imagine the luck offerings will affect this as well,
Probably.
which will help people who really not that you can plan for it
Yeah,
if you
no.
don't know ahead of time.
Exactly.
But
So
cool.
cool.
Yeah, it seems fine.
Yeah. Deep wound adjustments. Deep wound has gone through. They've changed deep wound 3 times since I started playing, but I feel like this will be good. Because right now a 30-second timer doesn't really freak me out as a survivor. A 20-second timer I don't think will be panic inducing, but will definitely put more pressure on me. It'll also, they say, it'll leave room for edge cases such as needing to snap out of Madness 3 before being able to mend, which is, again, it's an edge case, doesn't happen very often. So I feel like 20 seconds is a perfectly reasonable time.
Yeah. Are there's because there's Legion that you can that it will
Legion.
adjust it. Are there other killers that the deep wounds time changes?
Legion has the deep wound. Deathslinger also applies deep wound.
I feel like there's a lot of them who can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it probably feels like more certain killers can than actually can, because borrowed time applies deep wound. Whenever if you hit someone with borrowed time, you go into the deep wound timer.
Gotcha.
But like, I mean, just off the top of my head, the only 2 that make people go into at least base power. There might be some people who have add-ons that apply the deep wound, but base power that makes the deep wound status effect appear is Legion and Deathslinger.
I wonder if the different levels of borrowed time will adjust the timer at all.
That'll be interesting.
We'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like I said, currently the different levels of borrowed time just increase how long you have before you can get hit. So I don't think they'll adjust the deep wound timer at all, but yeah, so interesting. But yeah, so I think 20 seconds is fine. Not a huge change, but not a small change either. Diversion.
Let's talk about this pebble thing.
Cool, yeah. Everyone calls. You can tell. You know who. If you know the developers, you know who wrote this article. Then if it's being the version's being called Pebble. But it's not a particularly powerful perk. It's not going to be a game changer. A really good killer can tell when Pebble is being used versus when it's not. And so, yeah, it charging up faster. Cool.
Cool.
Fixated being able to be used while you're injured. I love Fixated. Fixated is like my favorite survivor perk. I feel like it gets underestimated. Like, the ability to move 10% faster while you're walking. Like, I cannot count the number of times where I've just been able to turn a corner slightly faster than the killer and not be found because of Fixated. But then when you're injured, you couldn't use it. But now it being active when you're injured, even, like, it doesn't seem like a huge change, but I feel like that'll help bring Fixated back into the spotlight. Because I love Fixated, but I don't run it currently because when I'm injured and I spend a lot of time injured, it doesn't help. But with
I've never run
help,
Fixated before. Maybe
Fixated's
I'll have to after this
perk.
is switched up.
Yeah, I love Fixated so much. Because it's just, being able, just walking 10% faster. One, being able to walk to generators faster, being able to walk over, so you're not, and then also being able to see your scratch marks while you're using Fixated, so you can try to do mind games with your scratch marks, as well as, and just being able to walk 10% faster. I'm sorry, I've said that a lot, but like that is the huge thing of Fixated, is being able to, turn corners, things like that. It's a great perk.
Yeah. I mean, there's just some of those things about like being able to be, a little bit faster is just very helpful. Like, I had a game today. It was a hag game, and it just so happened that 3 out of the 4 of us had urban evasion, and so we were just like sneaking through the grass, just finishing everything up without having to worry about traps very much. And it was really nice to just have that extra speed when you need it.
Exactly.
So this next one, Hex Undying. I'm not super familiar with Undying. I just know that people love the heck out
Yeah.
of this. So
So the way Hex Undying currently works, which is the reason why people love the heck out of it, is currently when so it's supposed to be a perk that protects other hex perks, because that's the thing about hex perks. Hex perks are supposed to be strong perks, but their downside is they can get removed from the game just when you cleanse their totem, and Hex Dying is supposed to help protect this a bit. By in its current state, it does a lot of things in its current state. It allows you to, so when a hex totem that's not Hex Undying's totem gets cleansed, it just moves that hex perk to another totem, another dull totem, so one that's not currently active. However, if it's a hex perk that relies on tokens, which a lot of hex perks do, like Hex Devour Hope, Hex Huntress's Lullaby, they rely on tokens, and so it moves the hex, it removes the hex perk to a new one, but it removes any of the tokens that it had accumulated. So you're basically starting over. And then it also lets you have aura reading on all totems, so it makes it a very powerful tracking perk on top of its other effects, and is a little redundant with Hex Thrill of the Hunt. And so, so it's really powerful, but the only thing it's really powerful with is Hex Ruin, because Hex Ruin doesn't rely on tokens, and any of the other powerful Hex perks that you might be using rely on totems, or rely on getting those tokens up, and if they lose their tokens every time they change, well, Hex Undying doesn't really help them. Then you just have to start from scratch. So they're changing that entirely. Now when a Hex totem is cleansed, it will replace the Hex Undying totem. Hex Undying is then deactivated. I think this is a good balance change, so that way you don't have a game where you're hunting Ruin down 4 times because you're trying to get rid of Ruin. Like, there was a game that we were playing with Isabel last week where what was killing us was the fact that the killer was just good of chasing us off generators, so that way the Hex Ruin could undo our progress. But because there was also Hex Dying, every time we tried to cleanse Ruin, it just moved to another totem, and we couldn't find any of the totems, and we just ended up losing because we just couldn't get Hex Ruin undone. I think this will be a good balance change, so that way Hex Ruin doesn't... so that way we don't have the Hex Ruin Undying meta anymore. I think we will still see the combo because it'll be a good combo, but I think we'll also see Hex Undying with other ones because of the next change. Tokens are going to be transferred. So if you have Hex Devour Hope, you have 3 tokens on it, they cleanse your Hex Devour Hope, it's going to go on top of, it's going to replace the Hex Undying totem, and you still have your 3 tokens. I think that'll be a good change too.
So what it seems like it essentially is, if you have 2 hex perks running, there's 2 active totems, but neither of them are really specifically either one until one is cleansed.
Yeah,
and that one is Undying, and then the one left over is whatever other perk you had.
Exactly. Yeah, basically that's what it's going to be. Also, aura reading will only apply to dull totems, which I think will be fine. But
Cool.
I think it'll be a good change. Change the meta.
Which killer has Hex Undying?
The Blight.
Okay. Dang it. I'm trying to unlock killer perks, and it's a pain.
It's a painful process. Trust me, I haven't even unlocked all the killer perks yet. I've been trying. Right, so the next perk, Iron Maiden, 15 seconds exposed to 30 second exposed. I think it'll make Iron Maiden more useful. I don't think it'll mean we will see Iron Maiden in more matches. It'll just be more useful. Open-handed. Sorry, did you have something you wanted to say about that?
Nope.
Okay. Open-handed. Open-handed, what it does is it's an Ace Visconti perk, and it increases the range of aura reading abilities. So let's say I'm running Bond, which has a... Let me double check real quick. Bond has a... Sorry, I have to switch over to Nancy, who actually has it. Bond has a 36-meter range. Well, with open-handed, it would then have a... it would then have an additional 8 meters. So it would be, from 36, it would jump up to, what is that? I hate math. 36 plus 8. Sorry, I'm really bad at math. And one of my favorite games is Dungeons & Dragons. 44! 44-meter range. Sorry. 44-meter range. So, that's good. But then the only thing you would get out of it, reason it would be, so 44 is better, but it wasn't as good because, the low values meant you had to get other survivors to stack it to see any really noticeable effects. Now they're going to change it to 8, 12, 16, but limit to effects of only one open hand at a time to prevent it from getting out of hand. Because let's say I go in with, 3 of my friends and we all put on open-handed and it has a 16-meter radius and we all put on bond, then we're able to see where everyone is all the time. That'd be great and glorious, but they're going to limit it to one effect of an open-handed. So only one of us would need to run it, which I think would be fine.
Yeah.
So that one friend who really didn't want to run open-handed but did it anyway because the rest of the group wanted to, you're welcome. And then Second Wind. That's a Steve Arrington perk. It reduced the time it takes for Second Wind to heal you after being unhooked. I wish we would have gotten a specific number on that because, currently Second Wind takes 30 seconds. I imagine it's probably going to be something along 20. That's what I'm guessing. But so yeah, that's the changes that we're seeing. Is there anything else that you want to talk about with these changes?
I mean, it just seems like little balance tweaks, a lot of, update stuff. I feel like in general, it's not going to change a lot of real gameplay because the only major overhaul is the killer that is not really often used.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice. I feel like it is an overall really decent, pretty good update. But that's because I don't care about the HUD at all. that's not something that bothers me, and that seems to be the only thing that is majorly bothersome to a lot of people.
Yeah, that is the big bothersome to a lot of people is the HUD. But I mean, look what they did to my beautiful boy. Sorry, I love the current HUD. I will miss it very much.
We'll see how much people hate or love it because the PTB is opening up on Tuesday next week.
Yeah, yes, it should be opening up Tuesday
pretty
next
soon.
week. So pretty soon. I will definitely go play with it, see how it is, see these new things. I'm honestly I'm blown away by this update. Personally, with everything except the HUD. But so cool. Well, with that, I'm done. I'm good. Let's go play.